morning everybody. It is day 2 in my new place. The plan for today is I'm going to attempt to get onto the walking tour, which is an orientation tour of the city of Perth. You were meant to book it, I didn't realise, so fingers crossed I can still get on it. Then I have a click and collect order from Kmart, so hopefully I'm going to collect my pillows and everything. And then I also have a delivery from Coles, so it's a bit of more of an admin day. My Coles delivery includes lots of cleaning products because apparently this place was clean before I moved in. I don't think so, so I'm going to give it a really good clean. So that's my plan for today. I'll keep you updated. Hi everybody. Well, I've just finished my orientation tour of Perth. It took about 1 hour 45 minutes and the lady was so informative, and this is just a free walking tour. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try to re-walk the tour to show you what I saw, and if I can remember any of it then I will let you know. So this is a meeting place, and this building here is just like a mall. One of them, I believe this one is called something place and this one is called something Chase. This is not going to be a very informative video, I'm warning you now. Then we have here the old post office. So it's no longer a post office, it's now H&M. So originally the post office was in a different location, which I'll take you to very far in the future because that was near the end of the tour. And now people still come and think this is the post office, understandably so because it's labelled the post office. But no, it's H&M now. And can you see up there, we have the coat of arms for Australia, and legend has it, now normally the kangaroo and the emu face each other, but the kangaroo is facing the other way because, and this is again just legend, this building cost double the budget, and so the kangaroo is looking at the treasury to say, am I going to be paid? So there's a bit of history for you as well. Okay, moving on. We have this green landmark up here. I actually can't remember the name of it, but it's apparently called the Cactus. So that is the Cactus. Oh, I remember what it was called. It is called Grow Your Own, and it's to encourage people to grow their own fruit and vegetables, but locally it's known as the Cactus. Okay, here we have the Perth train station, so we're just going to go next to it, and then later on I will try to take you over the train station. And here you can get the train down to Fremantle and up to Mandurah. So we are going to, it is requiring a lot of brain power to remember where I went. Ah, here's the post office. Okay, so to our right there was a food court here, but it failed. Apparently the advertising wasn't good, so now they're currently redoing that area, the Yangan Square, and ahead of us is where there's going to be a new, I think it's University of the Arts, but my tour guide said that when that's built this will be the happening place. There's going to be a new building there and another one over there. So yes, when those are up and it's full of university students, this will definitely be packed. Oh, here's the bus port. Okay, that's good to know. So here we have this monument, and she said that this monument The 14 poles represent the 14 different groups of Aboriginal people who were originally here when the settlers came. And she said that Yangan is the name of the elder who was, or an elder who was here at the time. And in Aboriginal culture, it's like what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. But in British culture, it's like what's mine is mine. So what happened is Yangan or somebody stole a potato from a colonist. They then wanted to kill that person for stealing their property, so they killed that Aboriginal person. And then the Aboriginal person then wanted to try and kill a different Aboriginal person then wanted to kill the person who like killed his friend. And then eventually that person died, and then as revenge of killing that person, and then killed Yangan, the elder. And then his head was cut off, and sorry, I should have given a warning here. His head was cut off and preserved somehow and sent back to Liverpool Museum, where it was displayed. And then it started to rot, I believe, because it wasn't preserved very well. Then it came back to Australia and is now buried somewhere in a secret location in Swan Valley. Okay, moving on. And they have all these cute Christmas lights, which I'll come back and I'll have a look at when it's dark another time. Okay, so here, this isn't Yangan, because in Aboriginal culture they don't show faces. So this is just a representation of the spirit of Yangan. Oh, they're setting up some kind of news report here. It's News 7, Channel 7 News. Okay, now we're going into a place called Northbridge, which is a place which has been adapting as different cultures have emigrated to Australia. So I can't remember the order she said, but I believe it started off with the Macedonians, then Italians, then Vietnamese, and then Chinese. So it's an ever adapting place. She said that this street here actually is one of the streets that doesn't have any trees. Ignore the trees in front of me. So they're redoing all of this to make it look nicer. Okay, let's keep walking. So ahead of me here is the Theatre of Western Australia, the State Theatre. And here at the Hercules Brothers, this is a shop which has been passed down for generations to generations, and we're going to have a quick look in because it's all like vintage. Okay, now we're going to go past a place which sells Portuguese tarts, and I told the tour guide, oh, I'm a bit of a Portuguese tart snob because I've tried so many of them and they're not as good as the traditional Portuguese pastels and natas, so at some point I'll have to come back here and do the taste test, but not today. Okay, here we have the, I think it was, oh no, that's a different place. This is the Brass Monkey Hotel, which, oh, I can't remember what the tour guide said, but it's been renovated and she said it's a really nice place to eat. Okay, so here's that view of the Brass Monkey Hotel. Oh yeah, no, I was right with what I originally thought, which was that it was originally called the Great Western Hotel because this is a place where people came just to stay for the night during the gold rush. And so they would stay, go to the bank and then go out and do more mining. And then as the times changed, it then got changed into the Brass Monkey Hotel. Moving on. So this fun fair isn't here permanently, it's just here for the Christmas season. To our right we have the Perth Institute of Contemporary Art, which is open every day other than Monday, I believe, and they have changing exhibits, so always something to see. Hi everybody, I'm back. It's about 3 days later. My battery ran out when I was doing the tour last time, and I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to come back. So we're back again, and hopefully this time we'll be able to finish. However, I'm trying to go through the route in my head, and I think I've got a bit of a black hole of a particular route that I've like forgotten. So we'll see how we get on. The fun fair is in full swing. Oh, my apologies if I'm repeating myself because I also don't remember when the battery exactly ran out, but I think it was around somewhere here. So this fun fair isn't here all the time, it's just here for the Christmas season. And to our right we have the Perth Institute of Contemporary Arts, which is open every day but not Monday, and it's free to enter, and the exhibits change, so there's always something new to see, so at some point I will take you in there. Keeping going. Oh, watching the spinning chairs. It's giving me Legoland flashbacks with Dad. Okay, we're gonna head this way. Okay, here we have the State Library of Western Australia, which is also where the State Archives are. So sometimes it's called the State Library, sometimes it's called the State Archives, but that is that building there. Ahead of us we have a new building which was constructed within the past 12 months, and it is the Museum of Western Australia, also known as Bular Budip, I believe. I'm just reading it from the sign. Now ahead of us you can see, try and get it in the center of the frame. This building here was where they used to house the convicts of Perth when Perth was first colonised. Now, what I will show you is there's a particular vine here, which is the oldest vine in the Southern Hemisphere. And when the Museum of Western Australia was being constructed over the past 12 months, there was a $1 million insurance for liability, I'm not really sure what the correct word is, if this particular vine was damaged, because it is the oldest one in the Southern Hemisphere. So where it is it was a cutting from the Swan Valley, and then in 1978, I believe, a fire went through the Swan Valley, wiped out all of the vines there, but the cutting that was put here survived, and that's why it is now the oldest vine, or known vine I suppose we should say, in the Southern Hemisphere. And then that building is where they housed the convicts. So originally this was on the top of the hill, and all around us would have been just the wetlands. So Perth is all made on reclaimed land, so they would have been looking out to wetlands. It would have been hot, sticky, there would have been mosquitoes. Obviously looks very different now. So there's one last look at the museum, so the Western Australian Museum. We'll go to that one time, but for now we're going to continue. Fortunately I know where we're still going on the tour, but it gets a bit dodgy a bit further on. Ahead of us we have the Art Gallery of Western Australia, and on the top there is a sky balcony which is open every day as well as at night, because there's a sky bar up there, and that can be accessed from this outside lift when the art gallery is closed. I believe the art gallery is open every day other than maybe a Tuesday, if my memory serves me right. And again, we'll go in there. It's free entry, so we've got lots and lots to do. Okay, I can't remember the name of this garden, but this is a growing garden, as you can tell. And this is very busy during the Fringe Festival that's coming up soon in Perth. And the Fringe Festival has lots of different acts, so like comedy, singers, mini shows I suppose. Each of the events are ticketed. I don't know if you can get like a pass or something, I'll look into that. But this is a place where that happens and lots of people hang out here. Sorry, I can't remember the name. We're coming down now to the Horseshoe Bridge. Now the history behind the Horseshoe Bridge is that the railway line had been constructed and they needed a bridge for the horse and carts to get over the railway line. So originally there were lots of pedestrian accesses, but they needed a place to relieve congestion for the horses and carriages, because currently they were waiting for the trains to stop, which was causing massive blocks and traffic jams, or horse and carriage jams. So what they did is they wanted to construct a bridge. Now this building, so this row of buildings here, and also the other side, are all, well, they're not original, but that's where they would have originally been. And so it was going to be too steep to build a regular kind of up over down bridge. So the engineer slash architect came up with this idea to have the horseshoe, so that you can see these cars coming up now. So they come up at a gentle slope and then they'll go over and then down. So when you're looking at it from the bird's eye view, it looks like a horseshoe, and this is the Horseshoe Bridge. Unfortunately though, they decided to remove some of the pedestrian footbridges over the railway lines. And so I asked the tour guide, oh, is that because they were using recycled materials for the Horseshoe Bridge? And she actually didn't know, and she was like, she didn't think so. But what happened is people were actually protesting against the Horseshoe Bridge and saying, well, now my journey to work has been made an extra 2-mile long walk, because now the only way for me to get safely over the railway line is to go over the pedestrian access for the Horseshoe Bridge, because they dismantled the other pedestrian bridges. There you go, an interesting fun fact. Moving on. This is when it gets a bit hazy in my memory. I know that we have to go down and then across, but I can't remember what happened after that. So we're just going to figure it out. So here we have the train station. So you can get the train here to Fremantle and to Mandurah and up to Joondalup. I've been to Fremantle before, not since living here, so I'll take you on a train tour to there one time, but there is the train that is going to Fremantle. It's interesting to see kind of the scope of the city, because this is, I assume, the main train station, which looks tiny in comparison to, say, Brisbane, or even to the UK, like Clapham Junction and East Croydon. I can't remember which one is the busiest, but either Clapham Junction or East Croydon is the busiest train station in Britain. Oh, it's really annoying me. I think it's Clapham Junction, which has like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 platforms. I don't know, but it's a lot. Whereas they had, I think, 5. Perth has 5. Sorry, Perth. Okay. Interestingly enough, there is no access to the platforms from the Horseshoe Bridge. So, sorry. Okay, so moving on, ahead of us we can see the poles in Yangon Square, and we're going to head down now to the Royal Hotel. My tour guide told me that the Royal Hotel was originally a backpackers, but the backpackers had become incredibly run down and then had been bought out and turned into this posh hotel called the Royal. She suggested that I come here with friends. I've got to make friends first. And then she said it would be nice to sit on the balcony, look over at Yangon Square and kind of watch the world go by. I hear really mixed reviews of Yangon Square, because I've also heard people saying that it's a dodgy area and it's not a place that a female alone should be walking at night. I mean, people say that probably about where I used to live, Upper Coomera, and I survived that, but that is what I've heard. So this is where my memory gets a bit hazy, because I remember that we crossed, and I can't really remember where we went after that. Oh, I remember, I think. Some more fun facts. So in the Royal, which is there, they still have some of the original carvings that were carved in by the backpackers, and they've kept that because it's a fun, quirky, it shows kind of like quirky character of the hotel. So that's there. We're looking on now to 140 William Street, but 140 William Street is actually not just a particular road, it's like a whole bunch of cafes, restaurants. Nando's is there, so I'll have to go to Nando's one time, yum yum. They also, on a different tour, told me that 140 William Street was where Jamie's Italian used to be, before Jamie's Italian went bust. And I made a comment to her saying, oh, well, Jamie's Italian in Guildford also was a flop. So we've made it. So this is 140 William Street, and I'm going to turn around and show you some art. Oh, the orientation tour has now become an art tour. So there you go, and this was all nicely illuminated when I came on the Christmas light trail. Okay, I really can't remember where we went to next. So I'm going to take you on the art tour. So the Christmas lights are obviously just here for Christmas, but these kind of pentagons, the yellow pentagons, are a permanent fixture, as are these art pieces here. One thing I'll do is, I'm going to step on that child. I'm going to take you into H&M, hopefully. So we're kind of going off the tour now, because I want to show you something interesting in H&M which was shown to me on the art tour. Oh look, there are my friends, the ladies in red. They work at the visitor centre, and obviously I've been there a lot. Oh, we have stalls. Interesting. Apparently the Christmas tree isn't normally here, but for some reason this year this is where the Christmas tree is. We've got a guy with a guitar, he's really getting into it. It's the Salvation Army. Oh, you know I love the silver band of the Salvation Army. Okay, we'll have to stop by there. This tour is just getting massively distracted now, I'm sorry. Oh, I wonder what's going on here. This was not like this yesterday. Okay, we're going to take this detour now into H&M. So I'll be sneaky filming.
Okay, let's go back on the way.
Oops, sorry. Okay, so the floors in H&M are the original floors that were once in the post office. So this is all original post office. The clock in under the H&M fashion, that's the original clock that was here when this was the original post office. Well, actually it was the second post office, because the original post office point I'm going to show you as we continue. Now, this is what's interesting, is that it's a glass ceiling. Now, this glass ceiling was put in place because the ladies who worked with the telegrams used to be on the first floor, and the artificial light wasn't good enough for them to be able to do their work, and so they had the glass, so they had the sunlight. I thought that was interesting. And here you can see how the flooring has been bleached by the sun, even though it's original. There's one more thing in H&M I would like to show you. And that is this, the original staircase that was used when the building was used as the post office. Really don't know what's going on tonight. Maybe a Christmas concert of some form. there we go. There's the post office sign with H&M. Okay. Must be a Christmas concert. Let's ask these people. And here we have the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, which was the second building after this building was built. Okay, we need to get onto a different street, and I don't remember the best way to do that. We need to go up. Oh, let's have a look at the Salvation Army. So I got chatting to the Salvation Army man, and I'm officially booked in to go to the Salvation Army church for Christmas. So it turns out here they're doing a nativity tonight, so I'm going to come back and hopefully get a seat to watch the nativity. I think this is 7. Maybe I'll arrive at 6. Doesn't seem to be many seats. Okay, we are moving on now. We had to go up a level because the other street, so this street is... I've forgotten. Okay, I can't remember what the name of this street is, but we're heading to Hay Street Mall. And Hay Street Mall, oh, that is not the correct way. Hay Street Mall is one level up, so because it's built on a hill, and Hay Street Mall, I believe, is the highest point, I think. And then the town hall, which I'm going to show you, is the highest of the highest. We have made it to Hay Street Mall. And you can hear so that was the bells of London Court. So London Court was made by this is going to be really dodgy history here. There was a man who had a lot of money and he wanted to build something that was completely unique. I believe he didn't have many friends, and so he wanted to build something eye-catching. And that's what leads us to here, which is London Court. So we'll have a quick look at it. I was meant to go to a Harry Potter event today at London Court, and it was cancelled because apparently it was absolutely awful. It was a complete flop, and they didn't have the choir or the actors they were meant to have, or the merchandise. It was apparently like a poster of Sirius Black, and that was it. So this is London Court. It's actually been sold recently to, I believe it was like somebody from Singapore who was like a multi-millionaire, but it's actually protected, so these buildings won't change. I think it would be really cool if you could turn it into like an Airbnb or a swanky hotel. So this is, I'll let these people go past. So this is London Court. It really reminds me of the Three Pigeons pub in Guildford. So yes, apparently there was a 20-minute queue to get in here last night when the other Harry Potter event went on, and they were queuing up to see nothing. I was like, oh, that is not my favourite queue. Little joke there. Okay, moving on. We're back at Hay Street Mall. There's another Pandora shop. There was a Pandora shop on the other street. What's the other street called? This is, oh, there's a sign. I'm gonna read that sign. The other street is Murray Street. So we were on Murray Street and now we're on Hay Street. So here we have a nice statue, and this guy was here because if you can see, we have the Plaza Arcade here. In fact, I didn't really show you because I was too busy showing you London Court. So here we have the Plaza Arcade, which was where people used to come to watch films and go to the cinema, and the statue of the brass man was an entertainer, and he would make money by entertaining people whilst they were queuing up to go to the movies. So that's in there. Okay, we're now heading to the town hall, which is the highest point in Perth. The town hall is made up of a certain style of brickwork, so it has like one brick going long ways and then one going in ways, and then it's kind of double bounded. So it's actually 2 layers of wall. I'm definitely not explaining that right, but you'll kind of see what I mean when we get to it. Other things I can tell you about the town hall: it was originally meant to be a marketplace, so very similar to kind of Tunsgate in Guildford, but apparently the fact that it was going to be used as a market just didn't work out. Oh, and this was built with convict labour. There we go, that's interesting. It's built in a kind of modern neo-Gothic style, and the clock points, so there's a clock for north, east, south and west. We are going to cross. What else can I tell you? So here we have a picture which is, yes, I remember. I've just read the little sign up there. So this shows the falling of the tree. So this was originally what Perth looked like. So there was just tree, land, shrubs, wetlands, etc. And then the first tree had to be chopped down, or even put a notch in it, by a lady. Now, the Admiral's wife was breastfeeding at the time. I believe his wife could have been pregnant, and so it was actually like a random guy's, like one of these guys' wives, who did the first notch. But then you'll see here, this is a bit of trivia, is that he's actually holding like a proper sword to chop it down. So she's just gonna go, and then he's gonna actually take down the tree. Anyway, so that's showing you a bit of history of Perth. Moving on. This is now becoming orientation tour slash art tour slash history tour. So when I was on the Convicts and Colonials tour, there was actually a protest going on outside the Supreme Court here, and I was on the news. Not because I was doing anything naughty, because the tour had to go behind, or in front of, sorry, the cameras. So here we can see the original brickwork, and here is the original brickwork as well. Trying to think of more things to tell you. Ah, yes. So when the city of Perth became a city, they had to travel from here to England to speak to Queen Victoria to say that they had enough people and enough infrastructure to become a city. To become a city at the time, you had to have 20,000 people. And they sailed to England to see Queen Victoria and said, "We are so close, we have 19,000 people, please can Perth be named a city?" However, that was a porcupine, that was a lie. It turns out they didn't have 19,000 people. They actually had 19,000 people in the whole of the Western Australia region, not Perth. And in fact, in Perth, they only had 9,000 people. However, kind of thinking that nobody would want to do the 3-month sail here to check that those facts were correct, Queen Victoria did make it the city of Perth in good faith that they were telling the truth, which they were not. Interestingly, the city of Perth in Scotland has only just been made a city status in recent years. So the city of Perth despite lying, was made a city way earlier. Moving on now, we have a place where more convicts were kept. Oh, this is the Supreme Court, by the way. This was where the protest was happening. And you'll first of all note how large the cell is. So the cell compared to the cell which I showed you in the Port Arthur video from Tasmania, where the cell was teeny tiny, this cell is basically Buckingham Palace compared to that one. And then each of these shows who actually inhabited the cell and what their crime was for. Some of them are really funny. Let's see if I can see a funny one. Okay, so cruelly assaulting his mother by striking her on the face with his boot. Stole odd boots. Drunk and incapable. Throwing stones in public. He shot at a pigeon but did not kill the crow. Interesting. And here's another cell here. These ones are a bit harder to read. Think more for the angle than anything else, because from this angle it's easy. But now they're upside down. Moving on. We are going to go through a place called Shop 1875, and before we go in, because I expect it's going to be noisy with cafes, in there is a sign that talks about where the history of how gold was discovered in Western Australia. So there was a crow, and a man picked up this rock, a piece of rock, to throw at the crow. When he picked up the piece of rock, he notices there was gold, and so a telegram was sent saying gold discovered in rock that was going to be thrown at the crow, or something along those lines. However, the telegram didn't send correctly, so the important message that was sent to the governor was just rock was thrown at crow. And so the governor didn't reply being like, oh my goodness, there was gold. He just replied saying, and what was the fate of the crow? And obviously then they realized that there was a mistake, and that the first line saying gold had been discovered hadn't got sent through. And so now in Australian culture, whenever you say something is unexpected, you say something like, oh, it's something to do with crows. It's something along the lines of the crow. No, I can't remember. I'll have to ask an Australian. Okay, we're now inside. My battery ran out, so that's why the bit that you just saw was just like stationary. I was actually walking, but yeah, I did just ask a gentleman what the phrase was. It may even be what became of the crow, but I don't think so. That sounds a bit posh for today's language. But he didn't know, so I'll just continue to ask people. Okay, moving on. So we're coming now onto St George's Terrace. And this was originally the first post office. So the one I showed you in the square, can't remember the name of the square, sorry. You probably know because I've already said it in this video. But I can't remember now, 4 days later. And here is the point zero of the post office. So all measurements are measured from this point. And even now, I believe that the distances from the city are all measured from this point. Moving on. I wonder if I'll see if I can catch up with the rangers, because I can ask them the crow question. Here we have St George's Anglican Church. Now they gave they named it St George's Anglican church because they said that there was too much Scottish influence going on in Perth. I can't remember why that was. I need to do the tour again. But to combat that, they made this St George. And I'm coming here tomorrow for the night lessons and carol service. And over here we have the Como, which is, I believe, the most expensive hotel in Perth. It's one of those like swanky 5-star ones. My tour guide said that normally rooms are like $600 a night, but during COVID he got $600 for 3 nights, which seems very good given that that would normally be for 1 night. Now you'll note that St George's Church doesn't have any cloisters for the choir to practice, and so these were installed later to allow for a space for the choir to practice for the acoustics. I'm really sorry, there was something to say about this property, but I cannot remember. It could have been another prison, but I can't remember, I'm sorry. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'm going to tell you a bit of history. So ahead of us we have the governor's house. So government house, sorry, where the governor lives. And when the flag is flying, that means the governor is in. However, when we came on the tour, the flag was flying and then we saw the governor in his car. So clearly that can't be all that correct. What is going on? So here we have Government House. It's not open to the public though. So interestingly, now I can't remember exactly why the story came about, but I'm going to show you where the courts are. And there was a man in history, there was a man and a woman who were engaged to be married, and in that time one did not how can I say, do things before marriage. Oh dear, my parents are now blushing. However, this particular man and woman did, because they were engaged, and the man then swiftly dumped his fiancée. And the fiance was very aggrieved by this and tracked down the man to this particular party and was fuming, saying, "You can't ditch me, blah blah blah." And he'd actually gone to this party with another woman. She left the party feeling miserable, and I was like, oh well, you know, that's sad, but she'll get over it. She then went back to the party and shot the guy. Now obviously, shooting somebody at a party, you would think there'd be lots of witnesses, and there were about 200 witnesses. However, because the court system was rigged, as everyone took pity on this poor girl, they did not, or they claimed that they did not see the murder happening, and so she got off. She then later married an American and moved to America, and then her American husband died under suspicious circumstances as well, or so the legend goes. So that's an interesting fact for you. police. Okay, here we have some nice kangaroo statues, and then I think this building is something to do with the council, but I'm not too sure. There we go. There's another view of St George's. So we're going now to the Supreme Court, and the people that were on the Convicts and Colonials tour with me told me that they went to the Supreme Court and it just happened to be a murder trial going on, and despite having ballistics and everything, the man was found not guilty. So if you want to go and watch a trial, you can come here to the Supreme Court. And these are the Supreme Court gardens, which are open to the public, and they're absolutely beautiful. So when we leave the Supreme Court Gardens, I will show you a building which is the only gentleman's club in Perth, and the reason why a gentleman's club is allowed is because there is an even bigger women's club. So I'll show you where. And then interestingly, so the gentleman's club used to be on the waterline, and then they obviously reclaimed all of this land over here, because at the top of the gentleman's club is where they used to fire the cannon for beginning boating races. So you can actually see it there where the flagpole is. That's where, or just underneath, would be where the cannon used to be fired from. But now all of this land is reclaimed. So this is actually called Sterling Gardens. Sorry, I've been calling it the Supreme Court Gardens. It's called Sterling Gardens. That's a lot of bicycles. So that's where the cannon would be fired from, and then this would all be reclaimed land. So it's a freedom rally. It's COVID doesn't exist rally. There we go. This statue actually wasn't mentioned to me on the tour, so sorry, I don't have any information for you. Ahead of us is the bell tower, and I believe that one of the bells in the bell tower was sent from London, and another bell was cast in Australia. However, I would fact check me on that because I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds about right. And this was commissioned, the bell tower, when somebody was in government. Somebody, oh gosh, this is becoming a really good tour, isn't it? You should fact check me, and it was somebody in government. ahead of us we have a cat station, and the buses, which are the cat buses, are free buses. They only go one way round a particular route, but you just hop on, hop off, and you can get to wherever you want to. You can get to Kings Park on a cat bus. Oh my goodness, that wind is crazy. If you want to get to Rottnest Island easily from the CBD, you can get the bus, the ferry from here. Here we have Elizabeth Quay with the CBD in the background, and then as I turn around we have South Perth down there, and where I live will be somewhere there. We're probably looking at it. Alrighty. Okay, so that's all we have time for today. I'm sorry it's been such a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye!